Hey everybody, this is Jordan McConnell with the Crohn's Veteran Podcast. My co-host CJ and Renika are not joining me this time. Today, it's all about uh, a little bit of my journey, and that journey that I'm going to talk about today is my my journey with bile acid malabsorption. And so, what is bile acid malabsorption? The symptoms, how it's identified, and all that kind of stuff, and then also my own personal story, my own personal history with it, and then also just how and how that kind of interacts with my Crohn's disease. And so let's get right into it. And so I'm going to be reading today from WebMD online. So there's an article on there called "What is Bile Acid Malabsorption," and that was medically reviewed by a guy named Dr. Dan Brennan. Looks like this year, June 9th, 2021. So I'll be reading from that. But first, I'll kind of talk about. Well, first let's talk about what is it? And so bile acid is a liquid substance your liver produces to aid in food digestion. Your body usually releases bile at the correct levels, but sometimes there's too much bile or it doesn't use it correctly, and that can cause bile acid malabsorption. And so what is that? So what are the symptoms of this? And so the symptoms are definitely not fun, guys. And so it's watery bowel movements, a sense of urgency, we need to go, continents are leaking, um, and so and bile acid is definitely linked with diarrhea symptoms, and it looks like about half of the people that have chronic or recurring diarrhea, or in my case, I guess what they call like functional diarrhea, also experience this bile acid malabsorption too, and so and so for me this and so my history with this, how did I get this is so when I had my first surgery in 1995, when I was 14, so kind of aging myself. Um, I had 6 inches of my colon taken out and my appendix taken out, but that you know actually I was pretty healthy, after that, and had no real symptoms for several years until 2009 when I had another 18 inches of my colon taken out in my ileum, and so the ileum in particular is what regulates that bile acid itself, and so since my body can't actually process fats correctly, and its bile correctly, and so since that actual organ is gone, and so to treat that, uh, to treat it, there's very few options. It's in addition to Crohn's disease, there is no cure for bile acid malabsorption. So it's kind of two conditions that they're kind of chronic and lifelong, and we know without any cures: Crohn's and bile acid malabsorption in my case. And so again, according to Healthline.com, that some common medications, and of course this is talking to your doctor and getting proper treatment through professionals and all those kind of things. But in my case, I was prescribed something called cholesterol, and I think the brand name for that is called Prevalite, and it's a powder that you take, that's usually mixed with, I think they say water, but I think it's pretty gritty stuff, and so I mix it with apples, with unsweetened sugar-free applesauce, and so that actually makes it pretty palatable, and but that actually is a I guess it's called like a bile acid binder, and so those medications are one of the few effective things that can actually improve quality of life for bile acid malabsorption folks. And so also there's not a single, I guess, diet that that can improve um, that can improve uh, bile acid. But one of the things you can do is trying to follow a low fat diet that can reduce the amount of bile acid your body produces, and and so to avoid and so some foods according to Healthline to avoid eating. And again, this is talking to your own nutritionist and talking to your own professionals and doctors and stuff. But again, according to Healthline, try to make they are saying to try to avoid eating butter, mayonnaise, fried or breaded foods, baked goods such as cookies or pastries or croissants, processed meats like hot dogs, bacon, sausage, and then full fat dairy stuff like whipped cream, sour cream, and the like. And so all those foods might you know, are gonna create additional fat in your system. And since if you are like me and have had your ileum surgically removed, or for some reason have bile acid malabsorption symptoms, these foods are definitely is believed will make your symptoms a lot worse. And so there's a lot of things in here that I try to avoid myself. Um, and it's interesting. And so going back to me getting this is that up until I had that second surgery, I was eating pretty much everything normally. Like there was I didn't have any Crohn's symptoms or bile acid malabsorption symptoms prior to 2009. And so and so not and then also it was several years before in between um, having having active Crohn's disease, and then finding out I also have bile acid malabsorption after the second surgery. And so it wasn't until I think after my bachelor's degree and I got a better job, I started, I had better insurance. And then I was, with my now wife and stuff. And so I went back to the doctors and started getting all these tests and everything. And, colonoscopies and CT scans to kind of find out what my current state of Crohn's was. And so I was prescribed Remicade, this biologic. And so for several years, actually no, I would say for about a year or so, but maybe 18 months, I was on Remicade. And the doctors were like, "Wow, your blood work looks great, and this should really be helping you." But in my case, I was still having all these you know um, bowel acid malabsorption symptoms. And so, no matter what I ate, you know, healthy or unhealthy or in between, um, I just had, any and all food would go through my system in 2 to 3 hours, 24 hours a day, just run through. And so I would just have this kind of, power washed, hosed out barrel feeling of emptiness, every single day. And I still, to this day, that's still true because, um, again, the uh, the solutions, the treatments for this condition um, only they'll only help with symptoms. There's no absolute solution. So even the powder or the bile acid binders, those only work to an extent. Um, avoiding certain kind of foods works to an extent. If there's any kind of life stressors, since the stomach and mind is so connected, any kind of life stresses um, can cause all of those treatment options to not matter, and it can still have that same diarrhea symptoms and stuff. And so that's so a big part of me is just trying to realize that I'm doing the best that I can. And and to just try to be as healthy as I can. And knowing that it's more about being healthy in my case, doing healthy things, than it is about, uh, trying to mitigate this, or trying to get rid of all the diarrhea symptoms that I have every day. And so, because even with the medicine, even with the powder in my case, like, um, it's very rare, I would say, that I go more than 36 hours, with actually feeling okay. And so I haven't had a week of I haven't been diarrhea free for more than a few days or a day or two, for over 10 years. And so it's always been like maybe a day, and that's you can call it self-discipline, you can call it this or that, but it's I've known that I've tried to do everything under the sun to feel better, and it worked. Everything that I do just kind of works sometimes, and so it's kind of just accepting the fact that it's really just eating right and living right, and and trying to be happy, and do fun things and all that kind of stuff, more than making all this diarrhea disappear, because it's I think in my case it's impossible. It's impossible to completely get rid of that, because I've had 2 feet of colon taken out, and my ileum taken out, and so I think at best I can feel good sometimes, and I could probably be healthy, have a healthy body and still have these symptoms, and so accepting that, um, I think is a big part of me, just me just being happier, just a happier mindset, and more grateful mindset for what's going right every day. And so yeah, so that's that. And um, I would say some other um, other kind of stories and stuff is just you know um, that was that was kind of the reason that after the reason I got out of the military was because of bile acid malabsorption, and I didn't these active Crohn symptoms, and I remember in 2009, when uh, when I was in the hospital, I think it was shortly thereafter I got out of the hospital. I got a letter in the mail saying, that because I was still in the Air National Guard at that point, and and I got a letter in the mail saying, hey, you can't be anywhere with limited medical supplies, and in hindsight, man, that's still true to this day, because if there's so many things that I need just to get through the day, um, that there's no way I could be deployed in some dirt, like a jungle or a dirt patch somewhere, and actually be able to contribute, because I think I'd be too sick. And so I'm just grateful that again what's going right. I'm very grateful that um, I have a job, and that affords me the ability to you know eat okay, and and have access to a gym, and have my family and is around me, and all those other kind of fun things. And so there's a lot of so even though I have Crohn's disease, I have bile acid malabsorption, you know, I would say that I'm in a very good position, and I'm very grateful for what's going right in my life. And so I would tell anybody out there that's listening to this that the founder of Crohn's Veteran, Jordan, um, has Crohn's. He has bile acid malabsorption. He's a dad. He's a husband. He works a full-time job. Um, I also so of course do this podcast, and I know that I'm also involved in a couple of tech startups too, and so and I do all those things with Crohn's and bile acid malabsorption. And so one of the things that I'm changing, if I want to change, is that's a lot of stuff. And to be honest, it doesn't make sense to do all those things, um, simultaneously, and try to and try to pretend that I can find balance. And so I'm trying my best right now in my life to simplify things, but still pursue my dreams. And so because one of my biggest things with Crohn's disease or chronic illness is that life can be very difficult, and very challenging, but it's really important not to let your dreams die. And so that's important to me too, is that even though I have to accept that the limitations of having these chronic illnesses and stuff, but I also believe that when they give me the actual fuel to get a lot of cool things done in my life too. So it's just finding that balance, and I believe that people out there that if I can do it, you know I think that you can do it too. I know you can do it too. And so don't keep believing yourselves out there. never give up, and if you have bile acid malabsorption, I would like to talk to you because I've actually, not met anybody who's my age who, looks like me, African American guy, who would like to share their story. And so, anybody out there, men, women, people of color, anybody in the world, all over the world, if you have, Crohn's, bile acid malabsorption, and you would like to, share your story with me, I would love to talk to you. And so, I think, more people know about this, the more, medical solutions, there can be to solve it because, one of the biggest things with this can, this, especially bile acid absorption, is the kind of lack of solutions. It's really just, cutting down on unhealthy fat and taking some powder and hoping for the best. And it would be nice if there was, you know, other options besides that. And so I think, the more awareness, the better. And so, but with that, uh, if this is kind of a short episode, if you guys, like what you heard today, if you found this, what I was talking about informative, um, please check out, crohnsveteran.com. You can check out our podcast from there. We're also on anchor.com. That's where that's actually where we host our podcast. And so if you look us up on there, you can check out our show. We have an awesome new Crohn's Veteran store. It's www.crohnsveteranstore.com. There's amazing merch and gear for Crohn's and colitis. I'm very proud of it. Please check it out and support our brand. And again, this video will be on YouTube, so you can also support us and check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of exciting, fun things coming down the pike. Please again support us. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. And this is Jordan signing out. Thank you.